Did Brian Burke as a GM like the deadline or not like the deadline?
I never did much at the deadline. I did a couple deals, but to me, and I'll show my age here, but you remember the blue light specials at Kmart?
Oh, yeah.
So a product would go on sale and a blue light would go on, and all these shopping carts would converge on this one section for toothpaste or sunscreen or whatever it was. And that's what the deadline reminds me of, these shopping carts banging against each other for this limited amount of product. And I really believe it. And I checked with the NHL. They are only awarding one Stanley Cup. I checked.
Right.
And so you got 14, 15, as many as 20 teams are going to make deals at the deadline in an effort to improve their team. In my mind, there's 7 legitimate contenders, maybe fewer, but there's 7 that can at least thump their chest and say we're in the hunt. And a whole bunch of teams are going to make deals. And one thing that's changed since I became a manager in 1992 is guys make deals now just to get in. And they'll admit they're doing it just to get in. And that's something, when I first started, that's something you never do. Unless you were in contention, the deadline, you were kind of a seller most of the time. So I never did much at the deadline. Never liked it. I tried to do my deals well in advance of the deadline. That's why I like what Kyle did with the goalie.
I've heard you say that before, I do my work before the deadline. But can you improve your team in the middle of the season to the point where you could go from good to great, or from maybe outside the 7 that you're talking about to legit contender?
Yeah, but I think you overpay by not doing it earlier. I think you overpay. The prices, they're very steep this year anyway, so even the guys that get out ahead of it are paying through the nose. But I think the prices aren't going to go down till the very end, so it's a weird dynamic. I remember we were trying to trade Mike Camilleri in Calgary, and we set the price internally. We weren't going to do it unless we got a first-round pick. And then we realized the market wasn't materializing because Ryan Kessler was moving, and he wouldn't move. So we had to drop the price. We told teams the night before. We consciously said, we'll do it for a second. We ended up keeping him. We only got offered a third for him, and I really liked having Mike on my team. So we dropped the price, got no takers anyhow, and then decided, okay, rather than make a crappy deal, let's keep him and see if we can re-sign him. And we tried to and didn't. But to me, the prices are not going to go down between now and Sunday night. And I think the first team that steps up, I'll give you an example. So you take the Tampa deal for Coleman. So it's a first-round pick and a top prospect, an elite prospect in Nolan Foote, who was a former first-round pick. So essentially 2 first-round picks. But Coleman's not a rental. That's a hockey deal. He's got a year left on his deal, and he's really going to help their team. To me, it changes the competitive edge a little bit. I already had them as the best team, but clearly now, because they've got depth now if there's an injury. So clearly now I give them a little edge on Boston and Washington in the East. So I thought that was a great deal, but that's expensive. 2 first-round picks? Are you kidding me?
Right.
So that price tag that the Rangers are looking for Chris Kreider, they're asking for that package plus an asset plus a conditional asset. So it's not 2 assets. They want a first, a top prospect, another pick, which would be no lower than a second, and a conditional pick if you re-sign him. And that price is not going to drop before Sunday night.
Brian Burke here on Tim and Sid. Does Kyle Dubas do anything else?
I know I don't talk to Kyle much. I like Kyle, but they don't deal with the media that cover the team that much, at least not with me.
Yeah.
But I sense from talking to other GMs, yes, he's been active working the phone. He's trying to do some things. The Mulligan pickup is interesting. I don't think it addresses specifically what they needed to address, but I think he's a good player. I think it's a useful piece. I just don't think it's going to solve what ails them.
I suggested yesterday that if what solves what ails them is what everyone thinks it is, and defense, a little bit of toughness, a little bit of attention to detail work, is that something you do in the off? Like, can you do that now and address the things that might be the problem with this team long term, or is that something you do in the off season?
I think it's both, but I think they have to try to deal with it now. And I'm sure Sheldon keeps watching this saying, thanks, Captain Obvious.
Right.
We haven't talked about any of that stuff, like minimizing turnovers. We haven't talked about any of that. So, of course, they've talked about it.
Yeah.
They've probably worn out the projector in the film room, and again, showing my age. But this is a case where, and it's a cliche, but it's true, offense is inspiration and defense is perspiration.
Right.
This requires, number one, that they work harder. Second is the mental part of it, which is, okay, working harder is great, but you got to work smart, attention to detail. But to give you an example, so they let the defenseman go whenever they want to go, right? So they get possession of the puck. The offside, say the right defenseman has it, say Trevor Hall has it. The offside defenseman, his partner, immediately starts to advance up the ice. And we want him to do that. Everyone does it. Difference is, if there's a sign of trouble that it might be a turnover, on my teams, I want that guy to stop right where he is and stay right where he is and see who recovers possession of the puck. And I don't think they do that. They continue thinking, well, we might get the puck. Well, now you got a 3-on-2 or 3-on-1. It's mental things. It's like on the forecheck, you want the third forward to stay above the puck. And when he sees a chance that they might get the puck, sometimes they cheat. And now puck pops out, they don't get it, and now there's an outnumbered attack the other way. It's a mental state saying, I'm not going to gamble on the side of offense. I'm going to make sure that I'm covering my defensive responsibilities. And the players owe the coach that. If he's talking to them about that, they owe him to make that adjustment. I think it's small adjustments can make big differences on this group. You go back a month ago when they were winning, playing what I call beer league hockey. And, the beer league theory, I'm not making fun of how they play. I'm saying it's a mentality. Okay, so we're playing beer league hockey. We win 11-10. They got to buy the beer. Do we care that they got 10 goals? No. So, and that's almost like they beat New Jersey 8-4. I mean, really? 8-4, you think that's going to work in the playoffs? So players have to make a mental adjustment here and do more buying in. The physical side of it scares me that they're not big enough or gritty enough. I think Clifford helps. I really like him. But they don't have to be bigger to avoid some of the mistakes they're making now. They've got to make adjustments.
Right.
Brian Burke in studio. You have been in front of the MLSE board. Tim and I haven't. You've been in those meetings.
Yeah, the last one didn't go so well.
No. But I'm just a big picture.
They
generally.
still let you speak after it.
Yeah, true. Can you in any way take us into what that meeting would feel like if the Leafs don't make the playoffs with the salaries being what they are this year? What will the reaction be internally?
Well, I don't think I don't know what pressure there will be, and I don't want to speculate on that. We'll do that after the season.
Fair enough.
Because I hope these guys get in. And I know people say, oh, you don't like the Leafs because they fired you. Well, I got fired by more than one team. I mean,
it's a lot of teams to hate.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not. I'm a season ticket holder.
Yeah.
I have 4 season tickets. We're a rights holder. No one would do better than Sportsnet if they make the playoffs and win a round or two. So I would like to see them make the playoffs, and I'm not going to speculate on what might happen if they don't, but I will answer that. I'm not ducking the question. I will answer it at the appropriate time. Counselor.
Fair enough. I think that's the aspect of this.
You can't manage that way, though. Like Kyle can't.
No, agree.
Kyle can't manage for fear of what might happen if he fails. You do that, you start putting a safety net under what you do, you're dead anyway.
Right. Then that's why I think a lot of guys get caught up in deadlines because they are thinking about that.
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
No question. If you're on your 5th year and that one deal can get you in, that second-round pick that's gone isn't going to matter to you if you're not here.
Right.
So it's the same thing where guys do long-term deals. And I've had GM say to me, when they do a 7-year deal, I'm like, you're going to choke on the last 3 years of that deal. And he said, I ain't going to choke on the last 3 years of that deal. Somebody else is going to choke on the last 3 years of that deal.
So Sixera and I, at the start of this show, we're talking PhD, and I was saying pride, hustle, desire. If that's what you think can get you into the postseason, then you've got to show that over the next little while. If it's more than that, then I don't know what they do either at the deadline or in the offseason. You think that pride, hustle, desire, that all those intangibles can get them into the post, and smarts?
Yeah, some hockey intellect,
Right.
some mental adjustments. And they've got good leadership. John Tavares is a good captain. They've got good people that play here. They're good kids.
Yeah.
Their focus is wrong right now.
Right.
They're not focused on playing the right way. And it's a cliche, and people hate it, but they say, you got to play the right way. That means something to hockey players. Playing the right way means getting pucks deep, going and retrieving them, maintaining your defensive position when you're supposed to, back-checking hard, finishing checks. There is a right way to play, and teams that play the right way win more games than they lose. Watch the Edmonton game last night against Boston. There's 2 teams right now that are playing the right way, and it was tough to get any open ice there. It was tough to score. It was tough to do anything fancy, and those are the games that the Leafs don't do well in right now.
Right. No one goes to the pond and flips it in.
Yeah.
That's not in your mentality, but everyone does it because they know there's a time and a place.
Earlier in the show, we had a mashup of some of the quotes that have come out of the Leafs room in the last 48 hours. It's been unique. What's the one quote to you, Brian, that kind of, when you heard it, you thought, oh, okay, we're here now? Like, what was the most unique thing you heard?
I like Jake Muzzin, his comments. I think it was yesterday where he said we have to. And it was a couple games ago too. I think after the Buffalo game, maybe he said, we like it. We like an easy game. We're a team that likes an easy game. We can't like an easy game. And I thought that was good soul searching in public. Like we gotta play harder and smarter, play the right way. And again, it sounds like a cliche, but to hockey players, it's not. Play the right way means something to a hockey player. They're not playing the right way. I thought that was telling. I thought Mitch Marner saying we need to work harder, that would enrage season ticket holders. Say, well, for $10 million or $11 million, I don't get that anyway. I can understand a night when you don't have your hands clicking, but I don't get the hard work as part of the guarantee. It's not built in to my ticket price. But I thought it was a kid being honest, and he said we need to work harder. I liked it. I don't like it, but I like that he was. I like the honesty of the commentary. It all doesn't amount to a hill of beans unless they make some adjustments, unless they mentally bear down to playing a better defensive game. The turnovers are like, I showed 7 after the first period the other night. The score sheet said 4. I showed 7, and we didn't even show them all.
Right.
And I'm like, who did the score sheet?
You didn't have time to show them.
It was in Pittsburgh. No, who did the score sheet? Some guy from Toronto did the score sheet.
Before we let you go, and we're running out of time here, I want to talk a little bit because as you were speaking about what the Toronto Maple Leafs need to do, I was thinking about the Edmonton Oilers game last night. And listen, we're not about moral victories in professional hockey.
That was a moral victory.
But they played them pretty damn tough, and they played them the way you're going to have to play in the postseason. And to be 3-1-1 without McDavid has to be uplifting to the rest of that team.
I agree. And I do believe there are moral victories in hockey. I do believe there's some losses you can build off. I sent Mike Smith a text after the game and said, you were outstanding tonight. They were terrible in the first period. They were sleepy. The second period, they took over the game. They started hitting, forced some turnovers. Third period, I'd give 60-40 to Edmonton, but it was a really good game to watch.
Yeah.
And so to me, the Leafs should watch that game tape and say, look at these guys. Like Marchand picking off pucks in the neutral zone, back-checking to the net. Again, it's a mindset. It's an awareness and a mindset and a commitment that I don't see right now. Right. And I think they can fix it.
You saw it in Edmonton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brian, before we let you go on the Sportsnet promo for our trade deadline coverage, I noticed that they had you say the on Sportsnet line that has become now world famous throughout Earth. And you
hold on a second. Hold on. Have you seen the Sportsnet promo?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure
thank
before.
you for that. I know what. Would you be mad if I ran back your specific part of this, or would you like me to move on because I respect you / am afraid of you?
That you're going to throw.
No, you can show it.
Okay,
throw
so
a right
for those
hook.
that haven't heard or seen this, Brian Burke's Oscar award-winning cameo in the trade deadline promo goes like this.
It's on Sportsnet.
Ladies and gentlemen. A, how many takes did it take?
That's the only one.
Your one-take wonder? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
One take?
But they wanted to do it because I don't like stuff like that, right? They know that. So they actually shoot at me saying, please don't make me say it. and then I did it. I don't know why they didn't run it, but I said, don't make me say it.
Yeah.
So I did about 10 takes of that. Please don't make me say it. Don't make me say it. I don't want to say it. And then the last one was, it's on Sportsnet, and that's the one they used. I wanted them to use the other ones.
That's a great idea.
Sid and I have learned that if you do what they want you to do, no matter what, it will appear in the promo. Like if you do the little shoving back and forth that they always want him and I to do, even if it's a joke, they'll find a way to put it in the promo.
Yeah. Well, they have to promote this show.
Can you?
Let's go to break.
And you saw that on Sportsnet.